Welcome to today's Daily Walk in Wisdom. We're in Song of Songs, chapter 1 and verse 6. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of vineyards. But my own vineyards have I not kept. Surprisingly, we discover the Shulamite has left the king's bedchamber. She's left the place of restoration, the place of safety, and the pleasures of the king. And she's left under a compulsion to try to expunge her newly awakened sense of unworthiness through a works-oriented religion. Now the Shulamite finds herself back working in the vineyards. And in order to stifle her inner loathing, she reverts to familiar things, family involvements, achievements with others who have common points of reference. She seeks renewed connection with her siblings. The familiarity of the family business is drawing her, and she feels the need for the approval of others. Does that sound familiar? But those others, in fact any other, is not the king. And they come at the expense of her relationship with the king. This is the natural response to an awakened conscience in the heart of a newly saved but as yet immature soul. Even if our pre-conversion lifestyle was demonstrably unhealthy and destructive and disruptive, the dark side of the soul has a tendency to seek the routine and familiarity. Jesus said, "No one who has drunk old wine says the new is better." And sometimes when God has brought us out of a disruptive background, we can feel more comfortable with that disruption from where we were, more comfortable with that than the peace that God has brought us into. We're like addicts, itching to return to old habits. And we live unhappy and unfulfilled, clothed in our old, worthless rags of sin, rather than continue the adventure of a loving relationship with King Jesus. Because freedom poses too great a threat upon our preconditioned roles and interests and mindsets. Frederick Buechner wrote, "Our original shimmering self gets buried so deep we hardly live out of it at all. Rather, we learn to live out of all the other selves which we are constantly putting on and taking off like old coats and hats against the world's weather." The song tells us, "My mother's children were angry with me." My mother is the church, and the children who were angry are the legalists who impose their sanctions and restrictions and demands upon others. Sibling rivalry is fractious at best, no less in spiritual endeavors than in the natural. In Galatians, Paul talks about this as the rivalry between Sarah and Hagar, the slave woman. He says, "And you, dear brothers and sisters, are children of the promise, just like Isaac. But you are now being persecuted by those who want you to keep the law, just like Ishmael, the child born by human effort, persecuted Isaac, the child born by the power of the Spirit." But what do the scriptures say about that? Get rid of the slave and her son, for the son of the slave woman will not share the inheritance of the free woman's son. So, dear brothers and sisters, we are not children of the slave woman. We are children of the free woman. Beware of those whose looks and voices are attempting to lure you away from your first love experience with Jesus. They are not for you. They are against you. They will come to you unedited when you are tender-hearted and vulnerable, and with a look or a sigh, they'll make you feel as though you are betraying them, as though you are being adulterous or disloyal to the family brand. They'll label you a fanatic or a flake or a zealot or an extremist, or they'll say that you are lukewarm. And they'll do anything or say anything to make you feel guilty over abandoning them and the program that they've got set up for you. They'll make you feel unsettled with your newfound joy and your newfound love, and will urge you to turn away from that emotionalism and return to good old works religion. They'll urge you to be faithful and true to what you've always been and done. They'll be angry with you for betraying them and will seek to control your thoughts and emotions. Beware. Should you listen to them and waver, then they'll have you join their chain gang as a laborer in their vineyard. They would silence the voice of the king and have you listen to lesser voices, to the voice of the law. They would have you redouble your efforts and bear fruit for their kingdom. They'll even use the Bible to try to have you revert to their law-based religion. They'll have you as part of their church evangelism team. They'll want you to join their choir to sing from their hymn book. They'll want you in all of their meetings. You'll be so busy doing your duty that you'll have no time for Jesus at all. One day the Shulamite wakes up and admits, "But my own vineyard I have not kept." So in attempting to please others, she finds her primary responsibility, which is the cultivation of her love with the King, has lapsed. It's right that you are part of the church, but your personal relationship with Jesus must always be your priority. The best thing that you can do for your church is to be close to Jesus. Without the blessing of your first love, then the best religious activities are reduced to dangerous liaisons with duty. Remember Martha. She was getting angry and frustrated with her little sister sitting at the feet of Jesus. And she demanded that Mary help her do the dishes. And Jesus said to Martha, "You are careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful. And Mary has chosen that good part, and it will not be taken away from her." So your passion for the King is what Jesus is looking for. That is the one thing that is needful. And if you pursue Jesus, sitting at the feet of Jesus, an intimate relationship with the King, that's the greatest adventure of all. But beware all those voices that will say, "Yeah, but what about this? And you should be doing that." Pretty soon they'll have you tied up doing so much that you'll suddenly realize you haven't sat at the feet of Jesus for such a long time. So get yourself back there now and sit at Jesus' feet and renew your love with him, the King of Kings. God bless you. We'll see you soon for another message from the Song of Songs.